Hey guys, welcome back to Liquid Art. Today we're going to be working on something a little bit different. We're going to teach you guys how to draw. So I really hope you guys enjoy this. It's all going to be step by step and in graphite pencil. So let's get started. So this is everything that you guys are going to need. So in front of me here, I've got a sketchbook to start with. If you guys want to have just a bit of paper instead, I'd recommend putting another bit of paper underneath that just to make it a little bit softer when you are drawing. If you just have it on a table, it's going to make it a lot harder to draw with. We've then got two pencils. This is a HB one, this is going to be my lighter pencil, and then we've got a 4B as our heavier, darker pencil. You can of course use different ones if you want to. We've then got a pencil sharpener and a rubber, just in case, and then I've got an earbud or a Q-tip, whatever you want to call these. This is for blending, but we'll use our fingers and even a blender if you guys have one, but if not, Q-tip works really well. So for our first step, we're just going to really gently outline our eye. So I want you guys to start with the eyebrow, and then we're going to go on to the indent that's above our eye, so it's kind of where the top of the eyeball is. So we're just going to draw a little line around here. I do apologise for this being so faint. You kind of need to have this really faint though to draw it out. But I'll put in the link below the blog so that you guys can see this a little bit more clearly if you need it. We're then going to do our upper eyelid, and this is going to consist of two lines as you want to show the thickness of the eyelid. So we're just going to curve it around nice and gently, just make sure there's no straight lines in this. Then we're going to do our lower eyelid and meet it up to the top one. Make sure you do the corners of these eyes. Same again, you want the thickness of that eyelid. Now we're going on to the iris, the inner part of our eye. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create kind of a circular shape. You want it nice and symmetrical, but just make sure you haven't shown a full circle. You want those eyelids to cover it up just slightly, at the top and at the bottom. Then we're going to do the pupil, the exact same shape, and again I haven't drawn a full circle as that's where we're going to put the light in a second. So for the light, this section, what I'm drawing now, is just two squares. That's perfect if you want the eye to be outdoors. But actually, we're going to do it indoors today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it's like a lamp and do a bit of a semicircle. I'm just going to draw over this quickly just to show you guys. So I'm going around the shape of the eye, and then I'm doing a semicircle here. This is to show that lamp shape. And I'm just going to rub out the lines behind that. You want to make sure that this is nice and clear. You want to keep this bit white more than anything. Obviously with graphite pencils you can't really add white in. So now we're just going to do a few of the creases below the eye. So we're just going to circle this round. And then the crease at the corner of the eye here. So it's just kind of a few little semicircular lines. So when you guys are ready, you're going to take your HB pencil and I want you to just shade in this area of the iris. So don't press too hard. You don't have to have it perfectly shaded as we're going to blend it in a second with that earbud. So just shade all this bit in. Notice as well, the closer you hold your pencil towards the end of it and where the lead is, the harder you can press and the more control you have. Later in this video, you'll see me hold it a little bit further away from that, and that's to create something that's really light. So now I'm going to take my earbud and I'm just going to press nice and hard, and it will blend this area for us. Now, using the end of this Q-tip that's already got a little bit of lead on it, I just want you to do a tiny bit of work around the inside of this eye. You'll see me coming backwards and forwards doing this bit later on. It's so that I can get the right kind of lightness. What we want to aim for is it to be lighter around the iris and a little bit darker towards the edges of the eye. So we're just going to do a tiny bit of that now. So now for our next bit, we're going to work on the detail in that iris. So what I want you guys to do is take the heavier pencil this time, so I'm using the 4B, and you're going to create a few little lines around each edge of this kind of donut shape of our iris, okay? So we're just going to work around the edges. It's pressed quite hard, and I want you to make kind of a more of a thick line going round, and then you're just going to gently curve that in with these little lines here. Nice, so you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. You can of course put little pigments into this if you want to. You can just do whatever like detail you would like to do in this eye. So you're going to do the same around the bottom of this eye, but you don't want it to be so much of a perfect circle, as obviously that eyelid is going to cover it up slightly. You still want it there, but you don't want it to be so big. You want it a little bit smaller in this bit. And I'm just going to rework this a little bit, so I'm just rubbing out a little bit around the center of this shape, just because I want it a little bit lighter, and then I'm going to go back in and make it a little bit darker again. So you guys can play about with this if you want to. If you're happy with it though, just leave it as it is. I always find that drawing's a lot harder for a beginner to pick up, whereas painting's so much easier. But with drawing, it's just a few little techniques. When you slowly figure it out, it's so much easier to do. And you can do a lot with drawing that people don't realise. So now I'm just using my 4B pencil, which is a lot heavier, and I'm just going to go around the top of this section here. So I'm just making these bits a little bit darker, and we're going to go around the top of this section of the eye. So just following that eyelid round just a little bit, and we're just going to fill this area in just slightly. So just the line going across the top. Good, so this is now ready for our next bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill out the pupil area. So I've already done this. Just fill out that pupil just using your darker pencil. And then I want you to round out around where this light is. So I've just filled in that semicircular shape, and I'm going to do a little line, leaving a tiny white line around that shape as well. So just around this curved bit here. It's just part of the lamp that was in the photo from what I got this from. And then we're going to do a few little bits here. So I've just done a mini circular shape here to show part of the lamp. And then I'm just using a few little bits to do some eyelashes. It's like a reflection more than anything in the light. So you don't want to cover it up completely. You still want to see a lot of this white, but you're just doing a few little lines crossing over each other to show the eyelashes. And then again, I'm going to go back over our pupil and just darken it a little bit more. So now I'm just shading a tiny bit around here just to show it's a little bit darker using the HB pencil. And for this bit now, we're going to work into our eyelid. So I want you to go around this nice and slowly and make it a little bit darker to where the white of the eye meets the eyelid. So you're going to make that darker, and then we're just going to shade out above that. Just doing a few little bits around the corner of this eye as well. And basically how we want to make this work with the graphite is we use the darkness to show it being hidden away, and the lightness is to show what's closest to you. So you can rub your finger just slightly to help this blend. You can of course use the Q-tip if you want. Actually, the oils on your finger do actually help to make graphite blend quite well. So it's up to you guys if you want to use that method. So again, we're just going around here. And we're just making it darker next to the eyeball and then lighter above. So I'm just blending this out with my Q-tip just to make it nice and soft as it goes round. And we're basically just going to repeat this just a little bit in the next step for our lower bit, and we're going to make this a lot bigger as well. So again, I'm just adding a tiny bit more of our HB pencil into the whites of the eye, just because it didn't look like it balanced out right. So I'm just adding a little bit in here, and then I'll use my rubber to rub that away in a second. So now I'm going back to above the eye. And again, I'm just thickening out that line along here. I'm just making it a little bit darker. You don't want it to be completely darkened or anything. You don't want it to be completely black. You're just going to slowly bring this round. So now for our next bit, we're going to work on this skin around the eye just a little bit more. So I'm just sticking with that HB pencil for now. And now we're going to follow that eyelid round. So all we're doing now is we're darkening this eye crease up here. And then we're just going to shade it down to this kind of lighter ridge. So this is, think about it, it's where the top of the eyelid is. So you're just going to bring it down to there, and that bit's going to be the lightest bit. So you're just going to blend it out with your pencil. And just use your Q-tip just to do the skin around the eye. I'm just going to gently do a few little lines here using the HB pencil. And notice I'm just doing it really kind of squiggly, just a few little lines. And you're just going to take that Q-tip again and just darken it and use that to blend. So I've just made a little bit darker around these bits here. So this is kind of the edge of our eyelid. And then I'm just going to blend it with my finger, or you can use your Q-tip if you want to, and it's just made this area complete. I'm just taking a rubber to this bit just to lighten it just slightly. Nice, so now I've gone back in with my HB pencil, and notice I'm holding it a lot more further away from the end of our pencil. So I'm just gently rubbing along here, and then I'm going to use my finger to help blend it. So again, you darken the creases, and then you just blend out. I'm going to bring this all the way up to the eyebrow as well. And then just rub it with my finger to blend it in for us. So a few little creases down here as well, and just blend. So we just want to make sure that our eyelids are nice and light around the edges, and they get darker towards the ridge of those. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to darken this eyelid here. And then we're going to start doing our eyelashes. So I'm using my HB pencil, 4B pencil, so the heavier pencil. You can use HB if you want. And you're just going to bring these out. So you want to make sure they're nice and curved, they're not too straight, and you're coming from the top line of our eyelid. You can bring some in as well and going from the bottom line, and that's going to be a bit of a shadow. So you just want to do tiny ones like that. I've only done a few, and you want them smaller towards the edge of the eye, and it gets thicker and bigger eyelashes as we work around. So these ones are going to be the smallest ones. And then as we move around, we're going to start doing these lashes longer and a bit more curved. So they're not all together, some of them overlap slightly. And we want to try and bring it over that eye crease just to show that it's a nice long eyelash. So as we get more towards the corner of this eye, you want these eyelashes to flatten out a little bit as well. So the angle of them, rather than pointing upwards, they're slowly going to get a little bit more of a 45-degree angle towards the end of our eye. So these ones here are going to just lay down a little bit more. So once we're happy with those eyelashes, we're then going to start doing the bottom row of these as well. So they're so much smaller on the bottom row, and again we're going to start from the edge of this eyelid. So you're leaving that kind of lighter gap for this bit and going along that darker line that we drew earlier. So these are much smaller, they curve around a little bit more. You can only do a few if you want to, or you can do loads. I wouldn't do too many though. And again, you're following how these eyelashes go. So these ones are going to curve around a little bit more, and then when we get to the center of the eye, they curve the other way. And you want these to be a little bit more subtle as well, so you might want to blend over them with your finger a little bit. So this is the direction that I was talking about. You're then going to change the direction as we go along the left hand side of this eye. So they've just changed direction just slightly, and there's a few less of them on this side as well, so don't get too carried away and don't do the whole row. I'm just darkening up this bit here as well, so it's where the white is meeting the skin. And then when you guys are ready, we're just going to do a few little more touches. So now we go on to the eyebrow. This is a much lighter bit of hair compared to the eyelashes that we did. So you're just going to follow around. You can spread these out a little bit if you want to. But just make sure all the hairs are going in the same direction, and that's following towards the right hand side of the eye. And then of course you can blend it in a little bit more. I'm just going to make this section here a little bit darker as well, just to show a bit more depth to this drawing. And a few little touches around here, like darkening around the iris. You guys might not need to do that, I'm just doing it a tiny bit more. So again, we're just going back over that eyebrow, just following it round slightly and then blending. And then just down here, we're going to do a few of the creases that we made earlier. You just fill it in just slightly and then rub it with your finger and it does the shape perfectly. So a little bit of a line, and then just blend that with your finger and it will create the perfect shape, because we don't want it to take too much attention. We don't want it to be a perfect line or anything. We want it to blur out just a little bit. And then I'm just taking my rubber just around a few little bits here, just to lighten them just a little bit where I want it a little bit whiter. And then we're pretty much done, guys. So I really hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope it gives you a little bit more confidence when drawing. I know it's quite hard to get started, but drawing just takes practice. So I hope to see you guys again soon. Please like, subscribe, and let us know what you thought of this video. See you next time.